All right, all right, all right. Hey guys, hey, welcome to the Start, Shoot, Grow, Thrive show. Oh my gosh, so we realized that you guys enjoyed us being live so much last week that we decided, why not? Let's go live with you some more. And today we want to talk about equipment for recording. So I'm going to walk you guys through the different sets that I've used along the way and how we got to a place where we have a specific set that we use now. And also, we build different sets around our home, which is so cool. You can see that on my YouTube channel and on Rio's YouTube channel as well. We have separate YouTube channels because his YouTube channel's focus is different from the Start, Shoot, Grow channel. But sometimes he's on the Start, Shoot, Grow channel.
Yeah. Doing this type of stuff.
Doing this type of stuff. And you're probably asking why. And the reason is that I started off with video content by myself at first. And then as I grew, he was able to help me develop my set more and more and more as we went along. So of course, you guys know how we do. If you are here and you're watching the replay, let me know that you were here by hashtagging replay crew. You know, we love to come through in the comments and talk to you guys, answer questions and all that jazz. If you are here live, show up, say hi, let us know you're here because we are all for that as well. Of course, you can ask questions today. That's something that we want to do when we're live. Just show up and serve so that we can answer the questions that you guys have. So we did a class last weekend and we got a lot of questions about just your setup and your equipment.
Yeah, for sure. Were they ones in like specific that we got that probably stood out the most to you?
Yeah, there were a few. Well, hey Miata, hey. Yeah. Hey Cheryl, yes, the replay, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, we're so happy that you are here. You're actually live, Cheryl. not sure if you know, but a few questions that we got in the class was, hey Jerron, a good camera to get started with. What would you say is a good camera to get started with? He's a bit advanced, guys. So if he goes too crazy, yeah. I'll bring him back down to earth because he's completely into tech.
I'd say use your phone. You know, the best camera you have is the best camera to get is the one you have, you know, so.
True.
Most of the times the phone shoots just as good as quality as a lot of these DSLRs anyway, so rather than cheap out and get, a budget DSLR, I'd probably just use my phone until you could get a really good DSLR and a decent lens, you know what I mean?
Yes, so many people start that way, right? You start with what you have in your hands, and most times it's your phone. Yeah. Now, I used my phone for a while to record, and then Rio ended up buying me a DSLR when he realized, oh, she's kind of serious about this. Yeah. So he ended up buying me a camera.
Yeah, I got you. Your very first camera, and I thought that you would be using it, but I had to end up scouring YouTube looking for a bunch of tutorials on how to use it and take pictures and video and all that stuff. So
yeah, because I wanted to take high quality pictures, I wanted to take videos, I was taking my blog seriously, so he bought me a camera and had to end up learning how to use it. Yes. And figured out like how to use it even better than I am, to where he practiced for years, almost a decade, and now he's really great at what he does. I learned as well, but we learned. This is really good. We learned how to use a camera differently. Yeah. He is a geek and learned it all the way. I can do very well by myself, yes, but I took more of a, I will test this out and see what my eye likes approach. So that's how we're very different. Like he studied it, and I really I like what I like. So if I can find an image or a setting on the camera that I like, I know the correct settings and all that jazz, but if I can find an image that I love and I can throw it into a Lightroom after and make it look how I want it to look, I am good with that. But he goes like completely crazy.
Yeah, see, I like my images to look fresh out of the camera.
Yeah.
So I feel like you learned what you needed to learn
Yes.
on one thing, and then you just was like, all right, I got it. I don't need to learn anymore.
Yeah,
But,
I learned to survive because that wasn't the lifeblood of what I was doing.
Yeah, but you also, you just kind of got to be versatile because you're not going to have, like you did, we didn't always have the
Yeah.
same conditions all the time. So, the
Yeah,
more you
definitely.
know, you can control your, the outcome a little bit more, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's something good to know. Even in our dynamic of working together, I am really helpful with helping people get over the barrier of getting on camera, getting consistent, getting confident, knowing what to say, having a good content strategy, learning how to sell on camera. But
Yeah.
for that crispy look, that's this guy right here.
Yeah, because I like to look crispy. So.
Yes. Cheryl said Rio is so gentle. Yes, he is sometimes.
I guess.
Until he like,
I'm not 100% myself. On
until he
camera
gets
just as
comfortable,
yet,
Cheryl. Then
so.
everything goes out the window.
I'm
like,
still gentle, but I'm a nice guy.
he is a
But,
nice guy.
I could be a little sarcastic,
Yeah. Well, see, the cool thing is he's getting on camera with me more, and you guys will literally see his personality develop as you go along. Live is new for him. He
Yeah.
would do pre-recorded with me for a few years well, but live is a bit different for him. So he's getting used to live. But I promise you, come back in like 6 weeks, and he might be a different person. He might be shouting y'all out and all that jazz. We don't know, but he's like,
Get somebody else to do it.
Get somebody else to do that. All right, guys. So when I first started, I started with my phone. A lot of people don't know that. I started with my phone, and I would actually create YouTube videos with my phone, and I would actually go live on Periscope using my phone as well. So your phone is, you have $1 million in your hand, is what I like to say, right? As long as you know what you're gonna say to get there, you have $1 million in your hand. So pick up your phone and use your phone, right? The other thing is, when you really start using your phone, I mean, I don't even have the latest iPhone. I think I have a iPhone 13 Pro Max, and I use it to create lots of short form content. And we're gonna have an argument live. I'll tell you why. I like to use my iPhone, especially if I'm filming B-roll. And so B-roll is like the content that you layer over your talking, or if you guys are on Instagram and you see those pretty just videos that are panning of the city or plants or trees, that's B-roll. I like to use the cinematic mode for B-roll. Rio, on the other hand, he does not like the cinematic mode.
No, I don't like it.
But that's because he's a stickler.
Well, I know it's it's made to emulate like a cool depth of field, but
Yes.
I feel like in lighting it blurs.
Yeah, it
your,
doesn't catch everything.
It blurs your
perfectly.
edges and it makes it not as sharp. So that's why I don't like it. But I mean, if you're using it for, if you have the most ideal conditions to use it, then by all means use it. But,
Yes.
I try not to get too dependent on any one setting or any one thing, feature, or whatever it is you want to call it. So.
Now let me break down all that language for you guys who may not understand what the heck he just said. So y'all know the blurry background effect. So you see the image of the person and you see the background looks blurred, and that's the look that we all want. But usually we would get that look with a DSLR, like a high quality camera, where you can actually focus on the image or the person that you're taking the picture of, and the background is blurred out.
Yeah.
So you can fake do that with your iPhone.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're calling the cinematic mode, where you are crisp and in focus, and then your background is blurred out. Now, what happens when you're using that is, if you don't use it in the right lighting, like you need really bright, beautiful light to use it.
Yeah.
And for it to work well. And not even, because sometimes when I'm doing my jump rope, it's still, depending on the shadows of the building that we live in, it still doesn't work well. But if you're in bright sunlight,
I don't think it was really meant to catch like continuous movement, just because the way it works is different. It catches like focus of the main subject, and it tries to lock on, and then it tries to blur everything else. Whereas in a regular camera, it will, lock onto a certain point,
Yes.
and then, it does it like kind of like automatically, like that's just how it looks fresh out the camera. So
That makes sense.
that's why that works like that. Yeah.
That makes so much sense. But all in all, don't be afraid to use your camera, the one that you have in your hand. The other thing about phones is that, especially if you have this phone, I think a lot of people probably have this phone and they don't understand like what the 3 different cameras are for, or the 3 different lenses are for.
Yeah.
What are those 3 different lenses for?
Well, they're all different focal lengths. So if you have a phone and it has 3 of these little things, depending on which one they are, you basically have a one camera with 3 lenses. So that's why, like, if you look at the bottom, if you go to your camera app and you look at the bottom, you could click on the 3 different focal lengths. Certain ones will be really close in and, like a fisheye, kind of like really wide, and then as you back out, then it'll be a little bit more crisp. So like that's why you have 3.
So you can kind of use those 3 different lenses so that you can go further away from yourself or closer to yourself as you start recording, right? Let us know if this is helpful, guys. Let us know if this is helpful at all so that we know that you're picking up. The other thing I want to talk about is when you're thinking about filming, always use a tripod unless you're vlogging. Right? I think that's something that people may not think about, or unless you're on TikTok.
I mean, even if you are even if you are vlogging,
you would prefer to use a
tripod. Use a tripod still, yeah.
True. I could see where you're coming from with that. Like, at least have like a holder.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody here really knows about cameras and settings, but like, anytime you have your camera and the shutter speed, which is the little
how fast the shutter closes.
Yeah, the little shutter when the camera closes or whatever. If your shutter is lower than what is it? It's either 30, I think. 30 frames per second. It's not open. I mean, it's not closed like long enough for you to be able to hold it. So no matter how still your hands are, it won't work well. It's gonna come out choppy. So
gotcha.
And people don't like to watch shaky video.
True, because then it makes you feel kind of dizzy, right?
Right.
So you want to make sure that you are filming on a tripod. Use a tripod. For example, we have a tripod way in front of us that you guys can see. We also have a huge monitor with all of your questions, and we see what you guys are doing right here. So don't forget, if you have any questions, welcome to the show. If you're just coming in, feel free to ask questions so that we can talk it out. Awesome. Yeah. Charles said she's using her phone. So let me ask a good question. Like, if you're using a phone to record, or you've been thinking about recording, or you record already, if you're using a phone, hit 1, and if you are using a camera, DSLR or mirrorless camera or something else, hit 2. And Replay Crew, you can answer as well. Miata said, what is your opinion on the 4K HD $129 cameras, the Amazon cameras that are rave on TikTok?
I've seen it, but I haven't heard great reviews about it. I mean, I haven't held one or used it physically, but I mean, I haven't heard great reviews about it. So, I mean, the thing about these cameras, they're they're a little cheaper, and it being 4K just means that it captures the big files.
This is a good point. Listen,
but if the sensor is a cheap sensor, and that's the thing that catches the autofocus and stuff like that, or like the lens is kind of a cheap lens and it takes really long to focus and defocus and stuff like that, you're gonna end up getting annoyed with
the footage that you're getting.
So it's kind of, again, just use your phone.
Use your phone instead of a $129 camera.
Your phone is probably 10 times better than that $129 camera anyway. Just use your phone until you could buy a really good DSLR in the first place, so that way you just buy one and done. You know what I mean?
Second thing is, piggybacking on what Rio is saying, when you are using, when you hear 4K, we think like, oh my gosh, great image. And we were teaching this in our editing class last Saturday. 4K means it's a larger file. So some people will buy that camera, and then the computer that they have is struggling to process that large of a file.
Yeah.
Right? So you gotta be really mindful. Like we were talking about this, even in editing my videos. Like I record in 4K. I have a computer just to record, which is the one that we're on. I only use it for recording and streaming. I don't do work on it. I don't do anything else on it. But sometimes, like if I have lots of videos that he's editing and they're all 4K, his computer is like screaming.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that people don't talk about enough.
Yeah, I mean, you can only really edit one 4K video at a time. So
especially if your computer is not prepared for that. If you don't have a computer that's built for taking on that kind of a beast, you got to be careful, because then you'll buy this fancy camera or you'll record in 4K on your iPhone and your phone will run out of space.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Pay attention to that, guys.
Yeah.
So little tidbit there for anyone watching. Think about that when you are thinking about recording in 4K. All right, so started with my phone and started getting confident on camera, started getting comfortable, and this was way back, right? This was years ago. And then I got my DSLR, and my first DSLR was a Canon 70D, I think. No, it was a 70D.
70D.
And
60D, wasn't it?
No, it's 70.
No.
Yep. And I still have it. It's somewhere. It's probably on the bookshelf back there.
Yeah.
But I used that camera for years. Okay, that camera took me to six figures in my business, meaning all kinds of other cameras came out after that, and I did not care. Why? Because if you have a good camera, what do you need to upgrade? I learned this from you.
Your lens.
Yes.
You know, the camera body can only really take you so far. I'd rather have a cheap camera and an expensive lens than an expensive camera and a cheap lens.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I can be a testament to that. Even after, when I was like, okay, I want a mirrorless camera now, and he was my supplier, and he bought me a mirrorless camera, and it came with a kit lens. So a kit lens is the lens that comes in whatever it is, camera you buy, right?
Yeah.
So that's just the lens that they give you so that you can turn the camera on and see an image. And so I got this expensive camera. I was super excited, but the image was worse than what was on my 70D, which was like 5 or 6 years old by the time I got the new camera.
Yeah.
And so we had to invest in a new lens. So even if you have an older camera, invest in a new lens rather than invest in a new camera with a kit lens.
Yeah.
Right? What are some popular lenses that you feel like people can invest in? Of course, we want to start with a Nifty 50.
Nifty 50, that usually refers to like the Canon 50 millimeter lens, 1.8.
It's like $100.
But yeah, it's $100.
It's a good lens to start with.
Pretty well.
It gives you that blurred effect.
Yeah. But anytime you're kind of like looking for lenses, I try to look for like the lowest f-stop you can. And certain ones, like the more expensive ones, they're so good just because like the inner workings of it allows you to like focus really quickly,
right,
and stuff like that. They also have like stabilization within the within the lens itself. So sometimes you'll have stabilization in the camera body and in the lens, so you'll get the smoothest really handheld video as possible. So
but it's also like if you're using a camera for like standard videos, like what we're doing, like.
Right. We got a question about this actually. Like, depends on how much space you have and like what exactly you're doing. So,
exactly. Yeah.
If you have a smaller space, you'd probably need like a more wider angle so that you can compensate for not having as much space, as low of a f-stop as you can. And if you have a bigger space, then you can, go up in focal length, because the wider it is, it'll distort like the image. So you'll look kind of like a clown or like
a fishbowl.
Like a fishbowl. Yeah. You'll look like a little.
So if I have a small space, like what's a good lens? What's a good focal length if I'm in a small space? Like, for example, I started recording in our living room in Brooklyn, New York. We live in Dallas, Texas now, but I started recording in our living room.
Yeah.
And I was honestly using a 50. It was too close.
Yeah.
But I rocked with it. However, if I can go back, what lens should I have been using?
Like right now we're using a 35 millimeter. It's probably like, I'd say 3 feet in front of us. So maybe a 35 millimeter. You might not be able to get as low as the f-stop. You might get a 1.8 or something like that for a decent price. So I probably still would go 35. Anything closer than 35 you can do, but you know, the image will start getting distorted a little bit.
So this is one thing I kind of want to talk about. So when the image is when the image if we were using a 50 millimeter lens here in this space, right? And just for some context, guys, our recording setup is set up diagonally across the room so that we get the most space. So think about a rectangle, but we put our camera diagonally and we kind of film. The room comes into a corner behind us. That gives us more space to play with than if we had put it directly in front of us, right? So if you have a small space or a small room, that's a good way to maximize the space of the room that you have. When we were in our old apartment last year, we had a huge studio, and I could have filmed front on and still had so much room behind me because we had a larger studio space. So in essence, like, the funny thing about lenses is, like, a 35 it's further away. A 50 millimeter lens is closer up to us. It would catch us closer. No?
Yeah. Well. Basically, the lower the number, the closer it will be.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
The lower the number, the closer it'll be, and the bigger the number, the more further away it will be. So if you have a 50, we would need a little bit more space.
Right. And then when you go up in numbers, you end up hitting like zoom lenses, like lens that you could actually...
Yeah, so basically a prime, I don't know if people know the difference between prime and zoom lenses. So zoom lens, this is like a zoom lens. This is a Sigma, 24 to 70. So the zoom lenses zoom.
You can manually zoom it in,
manually zoom it in and out like that. And a prime lens is basically just like a regular.
And you can't zoom it in manually
like
or not.
And it has just one focal length and one focal length only.
Right.
But these provide like a crisper image than a zoom lens. Zoom lens being that it has to compensate for a bunch of different factors, like the image quality is not as great, but again, zoom lenses are usually a lot more expensive than a prime lens.
They definitely are. Lord knows. Do you guys have any questions at all? While we're seeing if we have any questions, let's talk a little bit about audio and something interesting that I've found lately. So over my years of recording, I've tried all the microphones in the world. Like, I've tried so many microphones. And so last year, I was really happy I landed on the Shure SMB 7.
Yeah.
And I loved it, although I felt like it was harder to connect than a USB microphone, which plugs directly into your computer. This microphone is an XLR microphone. The quality is good. It is really good. Don't get me wrong. But recently, I bought another Shure microphone to use, like, because I hated unplugging this setup. And so I wanted, like, if I'm recording on my laptop or if we're traveling, because we'll be traveling a lot soon, I wanted to make sure I had a microphone that was USB powered, right? So I could plug it into my laptop, do Zoom meetings. And let me tell y'all, so this Shure microphone was like $500, especially you have to buy additional equipment so that it works.
Yeah.
But I bought the Shure MV7, which is a USB version of this microphone. It was released years after this one was released. This one you'll find in like studios or like people singing, singers use this microphone.
Michael Jackson recorded Thriller on this mic.
Michael Jackson recorded Thriller on this mic. Y'all hear that? I mean, I didn't even know. Come through. You always know random facts that nobody cares about, but this one came in clutch. This one came in really good. So hey Tracy. So what happened is I bought the USB version of this microphone, and it sounds better than this one, guys.
I wouldn't agree.
You wouldn't agree?
Not 100%.
Maybe my settings are off.
Yeah,
I might get canceled for saying that.
No, maybe for you, I guess it's
because I recorded with Emily. So my friend Emily and I are recording a podcast that we have not spoken about just yet, and so she has the USB version, and I have this one, which is supposed to be so high quality. Not saying it isn't. It really is. But when I was listening back to the audio, like hers sounds crisper than mine.
It really depends on how far away from the mic she was and her surroundings and how far away from the mic you were. You might have been a little bit off of it.
No, I was all up on it.
All up on it. Maybe too much. I don't know. Maybe. But maybe she was all up on hers.
I don't know.
Hers was a little bit louder. But this mic catches like the real richness of like the lows of your voice.
It really does do that.
Which is why it's so good. It sounds like radios. It's what all the radio stations and stuff
sounds like
use.
an announcer, guys.
So that's why this one is better. It works a little bit different, but yeah.
Yes, I see y'all laughing in the comments. So great audio. Audio is so important with your videos. Like, we could sit through a bad video that is not that crisp and clear, but good audio definitely makes a complete difference, right? Yeah. You want to make sure that you have good audio. We're not even using this mic to its full potential just yet. Soon, however, we will be building a new set to work together for this show. Right now, we're like hunched up, using what we have, which is key because you got to use what you have as well.
I also have to bend down.
Yeah, he's stand up. he's like really tall. I'm not bending. This is my height. Yeah, but he's trying to come down to my height while we're doing the show. But soon enough, we are going to move the show and rebuild a set where we have separate microphones and all that jazz. Let me know if you guys want to see that journey. I don't know if you guys want to see that kind of content, if you care for that kind of content, if you care for how we'll be putting that together. But definitely let us know in the comments if that's something that you are interested in seeing. Stacy is laughing. Yes. So we are scrunched up in here using what we have because we want to connect with you guys. So we don't care. We're doing it, right? We're doing it for the people. And so in saying that, make sure that you have good audio. Yes, Chandra, use what you have. Whatever you have is best. Now, we could have waited and decided, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're going to wait till we have it all set. But one of the biggest things that we don't pay attention to in marketing is documentation. Documentation is so rich because you're able to show and share your expertise, right? I see 2 people in the comments saying, yes, please share. Okay, if I get one more person saying, yes, please share, we're going to share that journey. So somebody, Chandra said, yes, I would like to see the progression. Yeah. So this is frame 1 of the progression. You guys are here for what it looks like now. And then what we'll do is probably a reveal and kind of share that journey with you guys because I still have to pick out what that's going to look like and all that jazz. But since you guys insist, we will. Somebody else said yes. I see 4 yeses. All right. So it's done deal. That's what we're doing. Now, so we spoke about audio and we spoke about microphones and also the Shure MV7 is way more affordable and it still sounds really good because if I could hardly tell the difference between Emily's microphone and my microphone, then hey, that says that it's good. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. So we'll definitely do it and keep you guys updated with that journey. More than likely on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, definitely do so because that kind of content is more YouTube savvy. However, the last thing we wanted to talk about is lighting. What did I start with lighting? Do you remember?
I think we still have them. No, it's was it the Godox?
Oh yes! Soft boxes. Wow, I was gonna say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my Diva ring light. But you're so right.
No, you got the Godox soft boxes first.
Soft boxes, or probably even Cowboy.
Cowboy.
Yeah, cowboy soft boxes. Those were cheaper. Those really took me where I needed to go. I forgot about that. Thank you.
See, there you
Thank
go.
you for bringing me back to reality.
The equipment manager.
Yes. So I started off with kind of softbox setup. Then he's so right. I forgot about that. And then I invested in my Diva ring light, which was $300 at that time. They are so affordable right now.
Yeah.
So that held me over for a long while, because when I left New York and moved to Dallas, I took my ring light. I had a few items in my suitcase, and that was one thing that I did have, right?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I paid $300 for this thing, I'm taking it. And so I brought my Diva ring light, which still works now, by the way, and it's...
Yeah, they're in a corner somewhere.
It's somewhere in the house, but it still works, and I've used it for so many years, and it's lasted. So if you are looking, you can start off with a ring light. If you don't have light, I
think any light that is dimmable. So if you could adjust the brightness, and it's not just like one setting on off, that's the most ideal. So you'll be able to use it in any kind of setting, because you could turn it up and turn it down to to your liking.
That is a hack, especially if you are if you're not like savvy with the settings of ISO and all of that on your camera. Having a dimmable light allows for you to kind of, for example, even on this set right now, I can turn the lights down. Let me show you. Let's see. Ooh, my nails are getting in the way. Right? So without doing anything specific to the camera itself, I could kind of control what you guys see.
Yeah.
Right? Let me turn back up.
But they kind of go along with the settings, so you can know how high up to, tweak your settings depending on how much light you have. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a four pillar settings kind of thing, because there's a ISO, there is your f-stop, and then there's shutter speed, but then you have to also take into consideration what your lighting is like to even fix any
all
of
those things. That is true.
Place, so.
Yes, so you have to figure out if you're shooting in daylight, if you're shooting in yellow light, white light, you have to learn all of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, that's it. So make sure that you have good lighting. If you don't know where to start with the light that God gave us, the sun. That's the best light. However, it's just not always the best choice, because the sun is always moving with the clouds, and so it changes the light and the temperature and this is if you're really picky, right?
Yeah.
If you're not picky and you're just like going live or something, it's fine. But if you're trying to create quality video, quote unquote, you can't depend on natural light. I remember, oh my gosh, years ago, I was like, I'm going to get this studio space. And I got a space in Dallas, downtown Dallas, with lots of windows and lots of lights. Some of you guys have been with me forever and have seen that space. And I loved it. It was such a sweet office. But I could not film during the day because the sun was beating down into that space.
Yeah. And
it would wash out my videos.
And again, I think that's also, you fell victim to
the natural light, the
well,
airy
not even
look.
That, even when looking at certain vloggers and stuff like that, you'll see them in these offices and it's all the windows and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, I want
that.
I need an office like that to get that kind of quality. But again,
and I struggled with videos.
The quality wasn't in the surrounding, it was in that person's lens, because if they had a great lens, their apartment probably looked amazing, and you're like, I need all that light, look at all that natural light.
Yes.
And then you go with your kit lens inside of this this setting, this and it would not work, and it don't work.
I would have to wait till after 4 when the sun went to the other side of the building.
Yeah.
But the problem was, by that time it was in an office building, right? So I got an office in an office building. It was beautiful, well lit, all that jazz. But when I was ready to record after 5, that's when everyone else is on their way home or getting out of their office, and they're outside in the hallways like, hey, Tom. And I'm like, sir, now is not the time to talk to Tom. Okay. Right. Like, I'm trying to record a video here. Of course, nobody cared. But just sharing with you guys, like, you know, sometimes what you see, you know, on, you know, with whatever people might have is not always the best thing. Even though our studio space now has lots of natural light, you'll still see me filming, you know, with artificial lighting. So lighting that is right above us that we can control, and we can control the temperature of it. Yeah. And also, I have like a course with all of this stuff, but it's separated by if you're starting, exactly what you need. If you're in between and you're using your laptop and computer, all of what you need. And if you are ready to take the leap into, you know, a more advanced set, I have all of what you need and videos to go along with it. And it's only $27. I'm going to leave it down in the comments, because I don't have the link right now, but it's an amazing course to just get started and understand where you are in your journey, and then you can gather the tools for your specific stage of start, shoot, or grow. Cool, guys. So any questions? Does anyone have any questions before we log off? We're about to get out of here. If you don't have any questions, we're about to get out of here. Let's see. I don't think anyone has any questions right now. So you guys are all set on your equipment. You feel good about it. Everything is all set. You're already recording. You're already selling on camera and all that jazz. Yes and yes, because I don't see any responses. So I guess you guys are all set. All right, guys. Well, we enjoyed hanging out with you. And yeah. Ooh, let me see. Did you go over the name of the light you use? Are you speaking about the light we use currently, or the ring light that I was referring to? Then I can find that.
This one is. I'd say to start off, we have this. We just bought this new light, and it's pretty cool. It's called the Amaran 60. What is it?
You know what I'll do, guys? I'll drop the links for all that I'm using, but I'll drop the link, because I see you said now versus when I started. I'll drop the link for this light. Yeah. It's an investment and it's huge. I don't know if you want to move the camera. You want to show what it is? Okay. Okay. Because I'll drop it in the links of the.
Yeah, they wouldn't even see it because it also needs light for you to see.
He's absolutely right. It's dark in here.
Yeah, it's the Amaran 60X.
I will drop the links for what we spoke about. So I'll drop the link for this, for the affordable microphone that I feel like is actually bomb, and I'll drop that $27 course down in the comments. Yeah. Guys, we are so grateful that you were here with us. If you were here live, like Cheryl thought that she was watching the replay, but she actually caught the full live and stayed around. We appreciate you. We appreciate you all for watching and hanging out with us. And let us know what equipment questions you have down in the comments, or if you're watching the replay. Bye, guys. Now, if I could only find the end button.